Welcome to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. You know, the one Megyn Kelly called Unfiltered Truth. I'm your host, Gil Mazza, Class 313 out of San Diego sector. We're raw, unfiltered, and unafraid, and on the front line of the immigration fight. We brought back a fellow Border Patrol agent and one of the most battle-tested voices in America, JJ Carrell, retired Deputy Chief Patrol Agent in Charge, the fired ICE agent who refused to stay silent, the best-selling author and one of the loudest, most relentless advocates for mass deportation in the country. We're pulling back the curtain on what ICE really looks like from the inside. The politics, the handcuffs, the chaos on the ground. We're talking Tom Homan, Rodney Scott, the leadership failures, the success stories, and the hard truths the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. This is no safe place, no spin, no apologies. If you want the real story from the men who actually do the job, you're in the right place. Strap in. Old Patrol HQ starts now.
Yo, Mazza, how you doing, my friend?
JJ, can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good. 10-2.
Good, man.
Been a while.
It's been a while, my friend. So much has happened.
Wow, you've gotten old.
Oh, you shut up, dude.
Look who's talking. I look like your father.
Shit, man.
Hey,
there.
Real quick.
Okay.
Get the outside noise. Landscapers have started to start working. They haven't deported them yet, so. Well, good morning, JJ, and welcome to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. It's been a while.
It has been a while, Gil, but there is so much to talk about. I have experienced so much in the last, you and I touch base, texting constantly back and forth. But man, we haven't had a chance to really sit down and talk about what's going on. And I have a birdside view and experience. And now everything that you and I talked about, Gil, for those months and years about what Joe Biden did, we suffered through those 4 years. Yeah. And then what is Trump doing? And now that I got back into ICE, I've been able to solidify. I didn't need to. I didn't need to verify everything. But it's one thing to talk to people and get their point of view, and then it's another to live it.
That's the thing, right? We have been screaming from the rooftops. We thought during the Biden administration, we had to keep this story up there in front of the eyes of the world, in front of the eyes of America. And then we thought when the Trump administration came in, we would get a reprieve of sorts, right? We can kind of kick back a little bit. The work was going to get done. We were going to just go in guns blazing. But that's not what we've seen, isn't it?
No, it's not. But I think there has to be some acknowledgement right off the bat of the greatest border president in the history of America, and there's nobody even coming second. Is Donald Trump.
Yes,
that is absolutely needs to be. And sometimes we get caught, and I do too, of looking at the 50 million to 100 million, which Greg Bovino and a lot of other people are saying is higher than 50 million. I feel comfortable talking in the 50 to 55 million range of illegal aliens. We forget what he did on the border. He did it overnight, and that can never be taken away from him. That being said, doing my time in ICE and being on fugitive ops, I'm going to tell your audience there is no mass deportations. There's no that is an insult.
For a minute, hold that thought for a minute because I really want to dig into that. But I want to start out talking to you about a very interesting summit that is going on in Portugal right now. It's the Remigration Summit 2026, and it's got all of Europe's Charlie Kirks, all these guys, all of us in America that are out there screaming for mass deportation. They're calling it remigration. Mm-hmm. And JJ, who do they call to be their keynote speaker in Portugal for Europe?
It's amazing, Greg Bovino. And you and I talked about this. When you want to know what the problem is, you want to understand where the mindset is. And you and I talked about this quite in depth many times.
Yeah.
What is you can't change an organization when you have the same effing people that followed unconstitutional orders. Let's take Google, for example. Let's say Google is rotting, right? Google has one of the highest stock prices, and they're right now they're skyrocketing, right? They're ahead of everything. All of a sudden, their whole management turns against Google and starts doing everything that's adversarial to Google. Then you say, okay, we're going to resurrect Google, and then you place someone in charge that's supposed to change it, but no one in the upper echelon is removed.
Yeah.
Do you think Google's going to change, or are they going to keep going down that damn same path? So my point is, you have Greg Bovino, one of what, 20, 21 Border Patrol sectors. One chief is out there. One chief, and I love what Greg Bovino did. However, it was ineffective in this way. Not what he was doing, but you can't go. There should have been a Greg Bovino in every state of America.
Absolutely.
And it should have never stopped. It should have been just driving it down. And I just I'm finishing a 5-part series on what needs to happen after my time in ICE, knowing what I know now, what needs to happen immediately in order to have mass deportations. And I would love to talk to you about that, because what we're doing, Gil, is not working.
Yeah, well,
and we're doing the same damn thing.
Hold this thought again, because I'm going to dial you back, because I know you're on fire for this. So am I. But I really want people to understand, JJ. People think that we're just these 2 retired Border Patrol agents who are just disgruntled and upset, and we're not acknowledging all the good stuff. That's not the point. That's not the point. And like you said perfectly, but getting back to this summit that's going on in Portugal,
okay.
They're screaming for the same things, JJ, the same things. They're saying we don't want to shut off Europe because we hate the world, but because we love our country. And they're talking about a Save Europe Act, which we have a Save America Act. So all you have to do is look at Europe to see what's going on.
Well, you do, and you're absolutely right. Europe is the precursor to America.
Yeah.
We believe that we set the tone in the world. That's not true. What happens in Europe finds its way to America. So what happened in Europe for the last decade? Mass illegal alien invasion from the third world.
Yes.
Now we are in the midst of it. Ours is bigger because we're a bigger nation, and Donald Trump, and Biden opened the borders, opened them and destroyed the United States of America. Now you're seeing the people in Europe, and I'm going to tell you, Gil, they want mass remigration. It's going to be a war. They're not getting those. And let's be, damn it, Gil. I mean, it's so encompassing, right? The discussion is so big. Yes. But you're not going to get. We have 60 to 70% of our illegal aliens are military age men. I would say 90% of the people that immigrated to Europe are single adult military age men with a below level IQ, meaning a retarded IQ. This is documented. So how are you going to remove millions upon millions of Africans and the Kastans from the world that have an IQ of a goat? They're not. And what's amazing is Europe is so gutless. The men are so, their forefathers would kill them. Their forefathers would have slaughtered these men, as these men allow Muslims and all these sub-Saharan Africans come up and rape and brutalize their women, and they do nothing. But we're no better than them, Gil. And I would can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Because I think this is important. You and I are not disgruntled Border Patrol agents. We're not. I love my time as a trainee at Imperial Beach, working my way up to Deputy Patrol Agent in Charge in the Marietta Border Patrol Station. I loved it. I have nothing but the highest respect for the men and women. Do I believe the management is inept? Yes, because I know the people that are in charge now, and they are inept. The ICE agents that I worked with, hand in hand, some of the greatest patriots. I know that we always like to look up and go, all those stupid bastards in ICE and ERO, they don't know what they're doing. No, they do know what they're doing. They have no one leading them.
They have no one leading their job. They know what they're doing for the job they were trained to do. And they weren't trained to do Border Patrol work. They were trained to do ICE work, which is 2 different things.
I mean, if you want to, I don't know when you want to get into that, but
okay, so let's take it step by step. Okay. Let's dissect why we believe that this administration, with the 2 people that should be the premier leadership, right? Tom Homan, Rodney Scott. You've got the cream of the crop, the best of the best, according to everybody concerned, right? Even I have a lot of respect for these guys. I just don't have any respect for their dated policies. So now let's set the scenario. Trump gets into office. You've got Kristi Noem, DHS secretary. You've got Lewandowski doing, I don't know what his part in it is in it, and that we can talk about that. That's a whole different thing. On the other side, we have the border czar, Tom Homan, and the CBP commissioner, Rodney Scott. Now, it seemed to me, as a typical American, that the border czar would have basically the most say in how the first plan coming out of the administration would be put into place. You and I have talked about this. It would have been shock and awe. It would have been hit all those cities all at once, take all the people off that are like easy picking right off the street. And the next morning when America woke up, they've been, what the hell just happened? But that's not what happened. There was a disconnect. And now we have Rodney Scott and Tom Homan against Kristi Noem and Gregory Bovino, who got hired because he was the only sector that did not bow the knee to Biden. How is it that we didn't come in, JJ, with an organized, unified plan like Mayorkas did to freaking just dismantle this overnight?
Isn't it amazing that if we're very honest with each other, who is the greater leader? It was Mayorkas.
Yeah.
It was Mayorkas. Mayorkas, you and I we documented it, and he systematically destroyed everything. He systematically created the largest movement of people in human history.
Yes.
Human history, from the world into America. One man did that. Think of that. So when you say, well, you can't do it in reverse, why can't we do it in reverse? But you answered your question before you finished your question, when your statement was, I don't disrespect the men. I just don't agree with their old dated tactics. And you're right, Gil. These are old dated tactics. Let me give you let me tell you where your audience, where you and I are coming from.
Okay.
You and I said this from day one. The very first problem of the whole thing was set in place when we started the narrative that we're going to go after the worst of the worst.
Amen.
That was the absolute worst thing to say. Your message should have been, if you're illegal in our country, we are going to hunt you down and deport you as fast as we can. Do you understand me? That's it. So we box ourselves into a corner right off the bat that we can only go after the worst of worst. And I always ask somebody, can you explain to me what the worst of the worst looks like? How am I supposed to make that determination? And they can't. The second thing is the plan. And make sure everybody understands, they can go back into your old podcast and see what you and I are saying now is what we said prior to Trump starting. So we're not looking back with 2020 lens going, you should have done this. No, we were saying it from day one. Don't do this. It's not going to work. We love you, Tom Homan, Chief Scott. We respect you. But what you want to do is never going to work. And why? Why was it never going to work? Because when we started, Gil, we had 6,000 ICE officers. There's no such thing as an ICE officer, by the way, but let's just use that term. 6,000 ICE officers. There's 50 million plus illegal aliens in America. How in God's name are 6,000 officers going to find? And just so we're very, very clear, those 6,000 officers are not trained in street patrol. Number two, this is huge. I don't know if you've covered this yet. Do you know they have different authority than Border Patrol?
Yes.
So they don't have the border mere suspicion search. They have to create reasonable suspicion to contact someone. Do you know what I was told the very first day that I got in on the fugitive ops team? JJ, and this was hard. On a side note, I went down 3 ranks and went back to the street, and I had to sit in line to hand my cases to supervisors that were 3 levels below me when I left. But that's a whole different story.
Well,
so
why would you do that, JJ? What made you jump back into the freaking, from the frying pan into the fire, back into ICE?
2 reasons. I felt morally and spiritually called to do it, because I can't sit here and say, you should do this, and you should. No, okay, I'm going to get in there. And number 2, the policing is atrocious. It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind how they react, how they do things. And when I got in, I went in with a complete mindset of, you're not the boss. And it's very hard to take that mindset where you have been the boss and go into a system that has no infrastructure. Let me just make sure. I mean, we'll talk about this later. No infrastructure, Gil. I can't pound this. This is the greatest understatement of the year. There is no infrastructure in ICE. Okay? Let me give you an example. Where I was, the office I was in has about 100 officers. Do you know how many supervisors? You know what the ratio of supervisors to officers are? Per policy, 10 to 1. 10 to 1. We had 4 supervisors.
Wow.
4 supervisors. 2 of them were out. So we had 2 supervisors for 100 people. We had no watch commanders. We had no acting. We had no DPAC, equivalent to DPAC, and we had no PAC. We had a roaming acting AFOD, which would be a acting DPAC that went between offices in Kansas and Missouri.
Wow.
And do you know, out of 100 people, so we go back to Tom Homan, 6,000 officers. Do you know how many that? And I'm told what I'm about to tell you is the norm across America in ICE offices across America, from very, very high level sources. Do you know how many officers are on the street out of 100? 25. 75 out of 100 are doing administrative processes of trying to remove illegal aliens. We are using systems that are so outdated. We're giving people, we're building holding facilities to allow illegal aliens to fight their cases for over months. What is the rule in the INA? All you Border Patrol agents out there watching, what's the law say in the INA? If I want to adjust my status, I have to go back to my country of origin and adjudicate it there, not here. And just a side note, I know the gentleman that runs the medical facilities inside the deportation facilities across America. There right now is about, I don't know, 7 or 10. They're going to get to about 20, 24. Do you know how much the medical cost in one center a year is? $200 million. Yeah. And this guy's telling me they get the best health care you could ever imagine, and they have dentists on site. So they're all getting all their dental care, all their crowns, all that stuff done on your dime, America. On your dime.
Wow. Well, catch my breath here real quick. Let's talk about, again, the procession. So somehow the decision is made. Kristi Noem sends Gregory Bovino out as with the new title, right, of commander of Operation at Large. And he begins the process of raiding these neighborhoods little by little. And we're finding out as we go, one of the things we found out with what I call the Bovino effect is that we have these criminal, illegal alien, savage monsters walking around among us that simply because they didn't commit a crime in America, simply because there isn't a detainer or they're not on a target, right? Nobody even knows they're out there. And these guys are sacking these guys up 60% of everybody they're catching. Okay. In fact, even more so than that. So like you said, immediately I start to think to myself, why isn't there 20 Border Patrol agent sectors, Border Patrol chiefs going out with teams doing the same thing all at once? And why isn't Tom Homan and Rodney Scott standing behind Gregory Bovino in this? And come to find out that America, JJ, got screwed out of the first year of setting the tone for immigration enforcement the way we wanted to because of political and personal BS agendas and hostilities and freaking personality conflicts.
Greg Bovino was set up to fail from the very beginning. Yeah. And when he was put in commander at large and he got taken from the chain of command, plucked outside of it with a direct line to President Trump, it was over. Yes. It was over. The clock was ticking for Greg Bovino.
They broke the cardinal rule, right?
They did. The
chain of command.
They broke the cardinal rule, and then all hell. I knew that right then everything was going to be his days were numbered. This is something that I don't know when you want to get into it, but it needs like a solution. What was the solution then, and what is the solution now? Because what you and I are going to talk about in this next coming hour is failed. Everything that they have done has failed. Let me give your audience and I know your audience is well versed on this, but let me give your audience just an understanding of the failure. Then I would like to talk about what I think should have been done day one, not 2 years later. Do you know there's 55 million foreign nationals in America on visas every year, okay? The government, and I don't trust the government, and I don't believe these numbers, but let's just use them. The government states 1 to 2% overstay their visas, okay? That's 500 to 800,000 people that are here become illegal aliens every year. We are deporting less than 400,000 people a year, Gil. We are a net positive. Even if the border's 100% secure, you and I know that's not true. We're in a net positive of 400,000 to 500,000 illegal aliens every single year. We are in a rowboat with 10 to 12 holes in the base of the ship, and me and my fugitive op teams have red solo cups, and we're sinking. We're like, we could dump faster. I can't dump anymore. This is all I can do, and we sink. This is what's happening to America. You talk about Greg Bovino. What should have happened, Gil? There should have been a think tank. Like, this isn't, hey, oh my God, Donald Trump won. Oh my God, we got to do something about the border. They've been thinking about that for 4 years. Why wasn't there a think tank? Look, I think I should be in that think tank, but if you don't want me in there, that's fine. You should have had a think tank of not chiefs, not guys that have never done anything in their entire life, but only men like Greg Bovino, guys that ran task forces. Get them in there and say, what do we need to do? And the very first thing that we should have done, Gil, the very first thing is we should have created a temporary department outside of DHS solely, and their only mission was deportation. That's it. It should have been a streamlined, meaning I want one head guy, Tom Homan. You want to make it Tom Homan? Tom Homan. Then you got 2 underlines under him. And then I want 50 Greg Bovinos, 1 in every state. And I'm going to assign 1,000 agents, officers, and military personnel with them. The military is going to handle all the logistics, flying them out. Don't tell me you can't do it. Don't tell me that we can move 200,000 soldiers, tanks, weapons, food, water within 30 days over to the Middle East and start a war. Don't tell me that I can't take retarded people and put them in an airplane and fly them to their retarded home country. Don't tell me you can't do it. But we never thought it out. You know why? Because they never wanted mass deportation, Gil. They never wanted it.
I agree 100% with that. Because let me tell you something. In my personal conversations with everybody we've talked about, especially not Tom Homan personally, but people close to him, they're telling me that they did bring in a bunch of retired agents to discuss what the best plan forward was. And here's the thing, you and I both know, when in interior enforcement, something eventually will go wrong. So what ended up happening is Tom Homan and Rodney Scott just sat back, didn't get involved, didn't speak much about it. Tom Homan hardly even mentioned Bovino at all, except in passing. They basically said, we're going to let him go till they hang themselves. And eventually there was going to be idiots out there that were going to take it too far and get shot and killed. And at that point, that spooked the entire administration. It spooked everybody. And Tom Homan comes in and performs what I call the surrender in Minnesota, where he basically concedes because he got no unprecedented participation. You ask all the ICE guys that are working in Minnesota, they're not getting anything that they weren't getting before. In fact, they're getting less. But because, again, we had 2 competing ideologies. Now Tom Homan is firmly in charge, and Rodney Scott, and we've got Mullins in here who now wants to perform quiet enforcement. Can you define for us, JJ, what quiet enforcement means?
Quiet enforcement means we're going to do nothing.
Yeah.
So you're going to do, so let's go back, okay? Let's go back to the pressing issue. So let's say we're at 15,000 now ICE officers, which is HSI and ERO, deportation officers. No one's on the street, Gil.
Yeah.
Let's give it the best case scenario, a third. It's 5,000 people. That's what? Hardly anybody in a state.
Yep.
5,000 officers a day are on the street. You even if they all arrest one person, it's 5,000 a day. You and I know that we have to be up to 15 to 20,000 a day to get all these people out of our country. And what is their response? And the response is we're going to allow this all to play out. What's happening in Newark right now in New Jersey. Why is this being allowed, Gil? You just left. Let me just tell you something. All those guys that had the ERO on their back, that was me 3 weeks ago with ERO on my back. None of these guys, just like none of the Border Patrol agents, we received one block of riot control training. Why are you having ERO guys out there battling for their lives? Why? Where is the goddamn leadership? Where is it? What should have been done? The first thing should have been done. I need the military here. I need special forces. I need a tank. I need tanks. And run them over. I don't care what you got to do. Because when you do that, then you grab people's attention. You know what you don't do? You don't go to Minnesota and bend a knee to Walsh and the other homosexual guy.
Jacob Frey.
Yeah, Jacob Frey. You don't do that. You know what you do? You go there with a camera and you go live and you say, "Listen to me, you two ass monkeys. You don't start doing what we want, we're going to arrest you. I'm going to arrest you right now for impeding. Do you understand? I need you to verbally state that you understand what I'm saying. Now get out of my face." And then you push, you surge. But we didn't do that. Why? Because we don't want mass deportations, Gil.
Well, you know what, JJ? All you're going to hear them say is, "You just don't understand the dynamics and the politics and how."
I do understand the dynamics and politics because I did it, Gil. I did it for 24 years, and I just did it for the last 6 months of my life on fugitive ops. Do you think I just sat on fugitive ops and as a manager, senior leader in Border Patrol, not look around? I knew every ins and outs of this organization, how it works, and how it's working across America. I'm telling you, it is designed. There's no way it's going to succeed. None.
And the bottom line, too, and I don't care how much they say it, ICE isn't taking Border Patrol bodies everywhere across the country. Many ERO, and they just can't. They're being told not to. They're being directed. They don't want anything to do. Is it fair to say, since you were in ICE for a little while, that the management in ICE wants nothing to do with your basic 1324? And is it fair to say that the most aggressive people, aside from a handful of ICE agents that I know that it's mostly ex-Border Patrol, that's really the guys that, how long did it take you to get on fugitive ops as a brand new employee?
It got right away. Right.
Exactly. Why? Because of your freaking Border Patrol experience.
Because I knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
Look, all these guys, we need to give these ERO guys some massive grace, okay? Because they've never done this job before. So we're trying to, let me give you an example. We lost someone in custody, got away. And one of the guys said to me, "Well, we can't go because of curtilage." I go, "What are you talking about? We have an escaped guy that he's now a felon on the run. I can go anywhere the hell I want to go, right? I can go anywhere I want to go. And I'm going to go find him," because I said, and I'm having this discussion in real time. And I said, "Listen, okay, let's play this because I feel an obligation because this guy's not going to help me. I'm going to take 60 seconds out to explain." I said, "If that guy runs in that house right now and he's in there and we don't check and he kills that family, do you know who they're going to crucify? Mm-hmm. You. Why? Because you don't know your law. You don't know your policy." I said, "We need to stop that. We got to go balls deep in everything we do. Let's go work." I arrested hundreds of people, Gil. I was on top of my game. I'm damn good at what I do, even back after being all those years of not being able. I became an extremely well processor. But even let me tell you, so everyone understands. So we have a fugitive op teams. We go out, let's say we catch 10 people. We arrest 10 people, okay? We're out there 5 o'clock in the morning sitting on houses and stuff. We get 10 people. We got to drive them back to the station. We got to do 2 to 3 hours of processing. 2 to 3 hours of processing. Gil.
I remember that.
Why am I spending 2 hours processing this piece of trash, this human piece of trash that you're not going to go 26 on, that you want to get out of the country as fast as you can? Why am I not just checking a box on a computer screen and take his ass and give it to a military operator and he takes him to a C-130 and he's out? Why are we giving them this due process? There's no such thing as due process for illegal aliens. This is absurd, but this is what should have been discussed, Gil,
yes,
years ago.
Yes.
They should
Because
have gone to President Trump and said, listen, sir, one of your executive orders, you have to strip away all of the administrative processes of illegal aliens. We determine their citizenship. They become illegal alien to us. We check a box to certify it, and that person then gets tagged with some kind of number or whatever, and they're deported. And they're deported that day. That day, they're deported. You want to make a statement? That's the statement you make.
And that's it. See, JJ, the thing about it is that in my conversations with Chief Scott, okay, because we were trying to redeem our relationship, right? I mean, I considered this man a legend in law enforcement until I saw the level Gregory Bovino took it to. And our basic disagreement is, he says to me, well, you know what? Street arrest and interior enforcement is sexy, but it doesn't get the job done. And I'm like, you need both. You needed that Greg Bovino's face out there with his teams doing this enforcement and giving them all the support that they needed, protection against these. This was no longer just protesting. It was no longer passive. This was aggressive, violent, urban guerrilla warfare, well organized, well funded. They had better intel. In fact, we have moles all across DHS, CBP, and ICE feeding information to these monstrosities, and they're at these sites before we even get there, right? And so they don't support that. So the functional difference of opinion that I have with Chief Scott and Tom Homan is, number one, we needed to have a face to the name. And if you go on Twitter, man, and right now, Chief Bovino is in Portugal speaking to them about this exact same subject. They are desperate for heroes. We have the hero. We had the hero here. And the second thing is, I'm sorry, Tom and Rodney, with all due respect, but I don't want to wait till my wife gets raped or murdered, or one of my grandchildren or children get raped and murdered before they finally make it on a target and get your attention. Okay. Bovino was grabbing these guys from the street with nothing on them and pointing them out there at the end, doing those press conferences saying, look, child molester, murderer, rapist.
Gil, I was arresting hardcore rapists, child predators, murderers, you name it. I was arresting them. People that had 5, 6 DUI hit and runs, people that were, quote, ghost, meaning I would do consensual encounters. I didn't give a F. I would be like, okay, you're illegal, because I have a moral obligation. With all my knowledge and experience, I know that guy's illegal alien. I have a moral, not just a professional obligation, I have a moral obligation to go make contact. Hey, come here. Oh, you're going to run? I go chase him, got him. Nothing. Zero. Clean. He's a ghost. And I'm thinking, as this went on throughout the months on Fugitive Ops, I was like, you know what? There are millions, probably tens of millions of these ghosts. We have no idea who they are. We have no idea. They're not in the databases. They're not. So you and I talked about this, and when I asked them, when did you cross? They always cross during Biden's time.
Yep.
And I was like, well, you didn't get, and I'm looking through all the databases. I said, you didn't get arrested, did you? Nope. The border was wide open. I just walked in. Do you know how many millions, you and I talked about this, the idea that the idea there was 3 million getaways in 4 years is so laughable. It's at least 15 to 20 million got through that border undetected and absconded. It is unbelievable. But if we go back, Gil, to from the genesis of the problem, how are we supposed to remedy this? It's still not too late to. I call it the Department of Deportation. You just talked about, you have moles in DHS traders and stuff. You have all this stuff. You have all these Border Patrol trying to do Border Patrol, interior enforcement. You're trying to do ICE, trying to do deportation.
Yeah.
No, I need you. If I was in charge, if Donald Trump allowed me to be in charge, I would say, okay, this is what I want. And I don't need extravagant funding. I just need funding that allows me to get this. I don't need buildings and all that crap. I need a deportation office. I need the military assigned to me that is in charge, like a Colonel McGregor assigned to me, and we're going to start getting everything done logistically. You're going to give me the guys. I'm going to go to Tom Homan and go, hey, you need to go to ICE. I need you to yank out as many officers as you can and still do whatever you need to do administratively on a skeleton crew. Rodney Scott, I need you to strip the border down to the bare bones with the military to keep the border shut. Everyone else is detailed in. And we are literally going to work every effing state, not state by state, every state one at a time. And I need 2 Greg Bovinos in each state. and they're going to have command over 1,000 officers. And in those thousands of officers, you're going to be broken up in teams of 10. And each team's going to have a supervisor. I don't care how we got to do it. Temporary promotions or full-time promotions. I don't give a crap. Get it done now. And it's going to be top down. It's going to be very fast. It's going to be, you're going here, you're going there, and we're going to work within units. But you are going to have a mandate. Think of this, Gil. If you gave me 100,000 officers, not administrators, not guys sitting there doing intel work or processing. You gave me 100,000 officers on the street. And I told you, Gil, out of 50 states, those 100,000 officers and military personnel are going to arrest one illegal alien a day. That's it. One a day. Within 18 months, we're absolutely clear of 50 million illegal aliens. We're done. We're done. We're done.
Even if it, I'd even give you an extra year. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and I'm sorry, and you may disagree with me, and I want you to, I want you to talk about it. I don't see, and I'm starting to really get the feeling that that ICE or Border Patrol, the current generation, has no interest in this kind of work. Even in Bovino's team, you had a majority that were hard-charging killers that basically said they loved working with him. They loved being able to do real interior enforcement, the job Border Patrol was created to do. But honestly, you get a lot of people in here that, first of all, don't even know the history of the patrol or ICE. They don't know their law. They're scared the shitless of a consensual encounter. Yep. And I don't even know, JJ, that you would get, they might be voluntold to do it, but I don't know that we still have the spirit in ICE or the patrol to actually do the enforcement you're talking about. And I'm not just talking management, I'm even talking
I can't argue with you. I can't argue with you. Because we had guys in the patrol that never made arrest for years. They were just plug and play. Okay, put them at that X, put them over here, put them in the checkpoint, let them just stand there and stare into space. I understand that. There are enough ICE officers and enough Border Patrol agents to supplement with military to go out and do the job. There is enough
that want to do this. Can literally learn the law, learn how to walk up to somebody and have a polite conversation, and build the PC to either hold on to them or not. Do we still have that? Do you think we would still be able to put together that kind of?
We're going to be thin. It's going to be thin.
We'd have to retrain an entire generation. And see, here's the thing, though. Bovino's time out in the public eye did more for recruitment. Mm-hmm. The Border Patrol and ICE and DHS has done for a decade by themselves. Why, JJ? Because those people did want to do that work.
Yeah.
And once they were properly trained, just like Border Patrol properly trained, like Greg Bovino keeps saying, you want to stop this nonsense at Newark? You want to stop it? Bring the Mean Green in. Bring the Mean Green team. Mm-hmm. We were ingrained with riot control training at the academy. You know, weeks of it. So it's like, even though the next step is all that, but I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how much heart we have to do it, and even America. I think a lot of people make the argument, especially CIS, the Center for Immigration Studies.
They're not our friend. CIS.
We all know they're cronies with Tom Homan and
Rodney Scott. No. I thought you were talking about the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service.
Oh no. I'm talking about CIS. Yeah. Even they say that America wants deportation. They just don't want to see it. Well, what they don't want to see is people lawlessness. Our agents getting attacked, doing their, performing their duties, their lawful and constitutional duties, and see the rampant lawlessness that these people commit to the point of ramming us with their own cars, of sending armed men in Chicago against Bovino and his team. If the helicopters hadn't caught that, they wouldn't have been able to freaking handle that right away. But you don't get a peep from the leadership or even from the media as to the fact that their tactics had to evolve because the violence evolved.
Well, that's why you have to have the military attached to you. The military, at the very minimum,
have law enforcement help too.
Well, you're not going to get law enforcement help. So as long as you get that understanding, we're not going to have law enforcement help, then you're going to do it yourself. Then you're going to get your military, and your military is going to do three things. It's going to be a logistical arm of the deportation process, meaning they're going to handle all of the flights, all of the transport, all of the holding facilities, all everything. They are also going to not only just help us make these arrests. There's going to be a segment of that military uniform, military team is that's going to provide cover for us, and they're going to be brutal. They're going to be brutal. When Gil did it become okay to throw stuff and hit law enforcement in America and there's no repercussions? Why aren't, if you went to Newark the very moment that started and then you tear gas, pepperballed, and you pushed everyone down, you encircled them and you beat them down to the ground and then arrested everyone, how fast does that stop? Stops overnight. But you know what our response is? Send the average ERO officer out there to fight for their lives. Can you imagine? Like, I'm from Imperial Beach. Okay, we have massive hundreds of people protesting. Hey, swing shift, you guys go out there and let's handle that. What the F do you think is going to happen? It's going to be terror. You have agents getting hurt. Why? Because we're not prepared for that. Why are we allowing this to happen to our law enforcement officers? Because we're gutless. And I heard this from someone, I'm not going to say who it is. I heard it from someone that's very well connected, and said the deportation shutdown, the slowdown came all the way from the top, President Trump.
Well, he's the one that started talking about it, right? These are nice guys. These are good guys. Lighten up. We need people to handle our these extra jobs that apparently only a subclass of human beings can do. So he started talking really soft about that, So and that's where the whole shift has changed. The whole shift has changed. So, give us like your 3 or 4 big takeaways from your experience with ICE in this last time, and tell us why you got let go.
The takeaways are: there is no infrastructure in place for mass deportations. There's no infrastructure in place to handle an influx of new agents and officers. One of my takeaways is the men and women inside of ERO are outstanding patriots, and they know their job inside and out. They just need some guidance. There is a significant percentage of them that will never go out in the field. They have no desire, and they're not built that way, and it's not going to happen. So you have a massive problem there. My takeaway is I watched in real time, and I found myself falling into this same thing I did when I was in the Border Patrol, when we worked for Obama and et cetera, is you put blinders on and you do everything you can within your task force that you're assigned to, and you just become excellent at that, even though in your mind, you're Jedi mind tricking yourself because the big picture's not getting done. I felt that way in fugitive ops. I was making massive arrests with my team, but I instinctively knew every time I came into process that the 10 people sitting in front of me, and they were savages, they were below subhuman in intellect, they were absolute hardened criminals, and I would think to myself, there are tens of millions of these people, and I'm in here processing. This is absurd. And finally, why I got released, the day I got hired, I knew every single day would be my last day. I'm not the guy, and I'm not tooting my horn. I'm just telling you what I did. I left United States Border Patrol. I went into education for about 1.5 years in a higher level and part of education administration. I hated it. And then I went neck deep. My wife, I got sucked back into the Border Patrol and the border issues. I wrote 2 books, did documentaries, testified in front of Congress, and I knew that was going to eventually catch up to me. Not the guys that were running ICE, but the attorneys. I knew that was going to catch up. So I got a letter. Every day, this is my day would start out, Gil. I'd get up at 4:30, get out to my car, start my car at 5, my government car at 5, then my clock started. I would look at my text message to see where all my team, if anything changed, and then I would go to my emails. And I would look at my emails for anything from OPR. Okay, nothing from OPR. Okay, I'm not fired today. So I'm going to go do my work. Then I came home and got a letter. This is how I'm going to try to explain to you how inept and how there's no infrastructure. I received a letter that you're removed. You're removed because you have outside employment and some other things. And I was like, okay. I called my boss and said, listen, they finally caught up to me. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, this letter is dated a week ago. and I just got it today, and they terminated me, and they didn't even know. They didn't even know. They had to call the attorneys, and the attorneys go, "Oh yeah, we just forgot to call you." That's how lack of infrastructure, how lack of professionalism is inside of our agencies right now. I don't blame them for seeing a nexus. I can't stop what I'm doing, Gil. Like, you know this.
Yep.
If I have stuff all over YouTube, I have stuff on Substack, I'm still getting paid. I mean, there's no stopping that. I could stop doing it. It doesn't matter. I still keep that residual income. And I knew this was going to happen because guys were coming to work and going, "Hey, will you sign my book?" It was my book. And I would say, I literally, this is how it went a couple times. "Will you sign my book?" "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't write a book." And they're like, "Your picture's on the book. This is your," and I'm like, "God dang, man. All right, come in. Let me sign it." And I sign it real quick. And I was like, okay, this is just a matter of time before I become, quote, a liability of what I say and what I believe. And I never created a nexus with ICE. I'm very proud of that. And I was very good at my job. And I think one thing God gave me this, and I don't know, He allowed me to go in and see the very end piece that I've never experienced. And now I experience it. So I can state openly and with complete confidence, if you want to find a guy that knows what the hell's going on, I'm that guy. I can sit here and talk to you for hours about what is happening in the front end and the back end and everything in between. And there are no mass deportations. And I'm very sad to say that. It's not from a lack of professionalism and integrity and ability. That's not it. It's a lack of infrastructure. It's a lack of planning and strategic operations. It's not going to happen. Period.
It's a lack of will. I don't believe. We have. They're trying to say that mass deportations are going on today. They are not. So, as we wind down, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Number one, what's your thoughts on our new DHS secretary?
Right now, I just have a lot of talk. He's very boisterous, and I like that, but I like that just like I like JD Vance coming out yesterday telling Gavin Newsom and the people that curse and slander ICE and law enforcement, they can all go to hell. That's great. I love it. I just want some action, and the action is I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Go ask those guys in ERO that were literally swinging their batons as hard as they can to get these people back as they're being assaulted. Do you feel like you have backup? Do you feel like you have backup? And to a man would say, "Are you out of your mind? I was fighting for my life." So why are we allowing this to happen? And it's leadership.
Well, half the freaking tweets seem to be saying, somebody do something, but we stand by our officers, but I hope somebody does something. And I mean, he is the freaking premier law enforcement officer of the country, right? My next question, my second to last question is, what are your thoughts on Pete Vasquez being the new chief of the Border Patrol?
I don't know that much about him. I met him once or twice, and I guess my indifference is your answer. Right?
A lot of people so far are saying the same thing to me, is like, they're not impressed. It's not a big deal. But a lot of people are saying that the chief position has become pretty much null and void in regards to affecting anything at all. They didn't change the policies. The same policies that are ruining the Border Patrol, the rotten core from within, have not been touched or even talked about or changed. None of the environment, none of the good old boys system promoting the young pretty little girls from the academy straight up to DC, promoting the guys, the freaking guys you like. They're playing same chief playing musical chairs on 6, 7, 8 sectors, not bringing anybody new in and not giving anybody else a chance. But the same guy, being able, Gloria Chavez, how many sectors did she get? Why should she get 5 or 6 sectors and people that deserve it even more so get none?
Well, Gloria Chavez is a physical specimen. So I can understand why they would want someone of her physicality to represent the United States Border Patrol, because she looks the part, right?
True.
There's nothing more attractive than the looking like a pickle and having a black belt around you. The only thing that I would say against what can a chief do? And I think about, well, what if I was put in that position? What if Greg Bovino was put in that position? Do you think that
Yeah.
nothing would get done? No, absolutely, things would get done, and they would get done immediately. I would call all 20 of my chiefs in, and I would say, this is what I'm expecting, and this is what I'm expecting to happen, like as you're flying back to your sectors, and I
Amen.
expect it to done.
You
If you're
said
not,
that
you're
years
out.
ago. You
Yep,
said
years
that
ago.
years ago. If you became chief, you'd hold a meeting, have every chief come in, every pack come in and say, if you're not on board with freaking mass immigration and catching illegals anywhere they
Get
can be,
out.
pack your shit and go home. You said that years ago.
And I
Years
and I would
ago.
tell them, if you don't have the courage and you just want to try to get another year or two of retirement, I'm going to find you out. I'm going to sniff you out, and I'm going to fire you on the spot. It's going to be this how brutal it's going to be. I want you to lock your. I want not one person crossing the border. I want it locked down. I need reports daily of what you need, and then you're going to slim down your border in order. You're going to find out what you need, exactly you need manpower wise each shift to lock it down, and every single person is going to be put on a massive task force, and you're going to go north of your AOR, and you're going to sack up every swinging dick that's illegal. And if you don't like it, you don't want it, guess what? I have 1,000 guys that I know that want your position. I'm going to put them in your position.
The scuttlebutt I hear is the only people that Pete Vasquez impresses are the yes men from going all the way up to DC, including Rodney Scott, and that's basically why they want him there, because we know Banks retired because of those charges that were coming against him with all that sexual misconduct nonsense that he even bragged about. They bring in Walter Slozar, and everybody said, well, he's about to retire, so he's gonna, we need a new chief. But the truth is, it was resign or retire, because they wanted him out and they wanted someone in that spot. Michael Banks was making the whole country cook the books so that there was no gotaways. So that he said, I want 100. I don't want no gotaways from no station. So the books were getting cooked for him in many different aspects just to make the sectors look good. But as of right now, the only thing I've heard about him, and I hear just about everything about everybody, is that he is basically just going to be another yes man for this administration and try to keep things quiet and no problems, right? No arrest, no problems. No arrest, no issues. And
God,
pretty
that
much going to
brings
be
me
that the
back.
way going forward.
God, I hate that saying, but you said it, and it makes me go back to my early days. If you don't have any arrests, you don't have any problems, and I'm like, well, then why am I here? I don't understand. What am I doing? What are you paying me 6 figures a year to have no arrests, no problems? But that's the leadership mentality. And you know what? It doesn't take hundreds and thousands of people to change an organization. It usually just takes one guy. Put Bovino at the top, cascade it down, let him have the hiring and firing practices to remove the sector chiefs, and then go through the stations and find patrol agent charge all the way down. And you set the tone. You start firing some people, and you start putting your guys in, not your guys, the yes men, your guys that will tell you what they need and what they're going to do, and their strategic plans to arrest mass deportation. Why don't you do that? At the very minimum, the states in the northern states and the southern states should at least take over their states within the south and north border and collapse in. At least say, hey, San Diego, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, lockdown. We're ripping illegal aliens out of there. We have no one. And then the illegal aliens are flooding north. The people in the north are doing the same thing. Oh my God. And all the illegals are pushing down. Now we have them trapped in middle America. Now we're going to systematically yank them out with ICE and in the Office of Deportation. But we have to do something.
Okay,
Something different.
you put out the wish list. Okay, so let's just final moments. What do you see happening between now and the midterms and after the midterms in this administration when it comes to immigration enforcement?
I believe you're going to see nothing. You're going to see status quo on deportation numbers. They're going to stay the same. They're going to do what you just said. No arrests, no problem. So they're going to say minimum arrests, minimal problem. Let's focus on the worst of the worst. That's what's going to happen. That's what's happening now. Excuse me. Our interior numbers are 900 to 1,200 arrests a day. Arrests and deportation, 900 to 1,200 arrests. And just so your audience, and I'm sure they understand, but people that are maybe not in law enforcement and border patrol, if we arrest 900 people today, they ain't getting deported today. We're talking weeks and months they're getting deported. Do you understand? So the people that are being deported today were arrested 8 months ago. 6 months ago, 2 months ago, depending on where they're from and what they've agreed to.
Yeah.
You know that we're actually asking. I'll leave you on. Just so you can your head can explode. There, when you're processing these bodies, number one, I have to choose white. The guy standing in front of me, he's an Indian from Guatemala, and I have to check white. White.
Yeah.
Caucasian, right?
Yeah.
And I refuse to. I checked a bunch of boxes, but not white. Then I have to offer him, listen to what I have to do. Hey, do you want to go back to your country right now? I'll give you $3,000. Okay. Oh, no, I want to see the judge. I'm trying to bribe them to go back to their country.
Yeah.
Do you see how impotent? Do you see how gutless? You see how coward the United States of America is? You know what we should be saying to them? Hey, pull your big boy britches on. There's a plane. You're going right now. You're going back to your third world shithole today. You're going to get some blue juice and some crackers. That's it, homie. You're flying out there. You're landing with no shoelaces in your shoes. You're wearing stupid slippers. You got an orange jumpsuit. So all the other third worlders can notice, holy crap, Jose or Mohammed got deported right back. They're instead of going there and going, hey, the stupid wedos gave me $3,000.
I'll go back next week. I'll go back next week for another 3,000. Let me tell you how I think it's going to play out. First of all, it's going to be quiet enforcement because of the midterms. We're going to try to appease the left, the lunatics, everybody else. We're going to talk a good game, right? Tom Homan, they're all on the table. Everybody's on the table, but nobody's really on the table except the target that whatever we're doing already, and we were doing already before. We've hit a few milestones, historic milestones, but that didn't even put a dent in the Titanic. Midterms will come and go. If we win by some miracle, then we may see some a little bit more bump here and there, but we're not going to see interior enforcement anymore. The criminals that are walking illegally here in this country free have nothing to fear anymore, just like before. That unspoken contract, like I wrote in my article in Old Patrol HQ on Substack, that unspoken contract that Rodney Scott doesn't want to break, Tom Homan doesn't want to break with the illegals that have gotten past the Border Patrol. We don't see you. You don't see us. We're fine. You're good. Go on your merry way. After this election, after this midterms, I believe that this administration is going to become a lame duck on illegal immigration. And I see it play out till the end. And when it's all said and done, if we get a Democrat come back, not only will they release everybody we have in custody, they will bring back everybody we deported, and then they will open the border, JJ, 10 times more than it was before. That's how I see it.
I agree with that, and I'll add one more caveat. You will see the Democrats in power begin to go civilly and criminally against ICE officers that made arrests in the interior.
Yeah. And you and I, because they want us prosecuted as well, right? They want us in re-education camps. Anyway, JJ, as always, I don't know why I don't do this more often, because you just pump it all up. You the information you brought and everything. What is something we can do to support you? Is there a project going on? Is there, sell yourself a little bit to all my listeners on where they can find you and where they can get the best information on illegal immigration possible.
You know what? Just go to my website, jjcarrell.com. Has all my socials, everything on it. And I'm unafraid like you are, because if you and I don't talk about these things, who is? Honestly, who? I don't know anybody outside. I know there's a couple guys, but who's going to have these kind of discussions and lay it out as it is? And you know as well as I do, because I've heard many discussions about you and your podcast and your Substack and Facebook. People are listening. And I have the highest respect for Tom Homan and Chief Scott, but what you're doing is not working, period. And we are doing, and I lived it, Gil. We're doing federal immigration law enforcement like it's 1990, and we are now, we're hundreds of years into the future where the abomination of Biden and the Republicans have destroyed the Republicans, not the Democrats. The Republicans have destroyed the immigration system. It's broken. It cannot be fixed. Therefore, you're going to have to eradicate these people from our country, and you have got to change your mindset, and you have to start doing things differently. If not, it's very binary. You're either going to change and affect change, or you're going to do nothing and just collect a paycheck.
Well, we'll leave it with that, except to say we might see Greg Bovino out there enforcing remigration or mass deportation up in Europe and Portugal one of these days.
No, I would love to help them because that's going to
Amen
be
to
the
that. I would
amen.
go back. I would go back for that. Anyway, JJ, thank you so much, bro. Keep up the good work, and thanks for always dragging Old Patrol along with you everywhere you go. I appreciate that very much, and God bless and Godspeed, man. And I know you're writing another book, so as soon as that comes out, we are going to promote the hell out of it.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot, Gil. Keep fighting the fight, brother.
All right, brother. Take care and God bless.